you're just tuning in, we're about to do a breakdown of the response that Nicki Minaj gave to Remy Ma. The long-awaited response, mind you. So, let us break it down systematically, if you will. Alright? So, first of all, the song is entitled No Frauds, and it features Drake and Lil Wayne. So, somewhat of a Young Money reunion of sorts, basically. Now, a lot of people have been talking about this record since it dropped this morning, and people's reactions have been very mixed, to say the least. So on one end, it's very underwhelming, especially when you consider what you heard from Remy Ma with the Sheetha record. And then on the other end, people are saying, well, she turned it into a club record, this record's gonna get more plays and what have you, which is factual because of popularity. So there's no denying that. That's just the inevitable. But nonetheless, it's overall very underwhelming. And then to add insult to injury, she actually released an Instagram post following the release of that record. Mind you, the record was called the record release was all part of something called 3 Packs from Paris, which was 3 song releases. So it was that one, and then 2 more singles, which are now charting on the charts, of course. And then she also released an Instagram post stating her views, so to speak, on the entire ordeal. But before I get to that, I want to get the immediate reaction of my guest, Mel Flower. So, Mel, what is your take on this record? She can't even give a straight face right now. It's hilarious.
Why did you attempt to come back? And you had to bring people. Why are you trying to come back to a hip-hop artist on a trap beat? Why? I just can't take her serious. I just can't. Yeah, I just can't take her serious.
You just can't? You just...
No. Bars, whether some of the bars were good or not, that's debatable. That's up in the air, but it's really not comparable.
It really
to anything
isn't.
that has been thrown her way. Even though everyone's like, another one wasn't as good as she. They're obviously not. But
yeah. I feel like at this point, it's more fair to compare No Frauds, which is this record right here,
right,
to another one, because they're both equally bad in my opinion.
And another one would still beat this one, though.
It's debatable, actually. Like, you could make a debate for that. I think what it showed was each other's prowess in their respective fields. So Remy is your more prototypical, pardon me, rapper slash MC, basically, where she's just gonna go bar for bar for bar for bar, so on and so forth.
How it's supposed to be.
Whereas Nicki Minaj has now kind of evolved into the rapper-songwriter type. So someone who has a bit more structure into their songs, which is totally fine. But in this type of battle or predicament, rather,
battles,
it's not fair.
Battles, you can't do that. You have to come as raw as they come.
But see, here's the thing, though. Few rappers in history have been able to find the balance between the two. Like Jay-Z, for example, found the balance when he did Takeover. First verse was dedicated to Mobb Deep, second verse is dedicated to Nas, and it was a well thought out song as well. They went kind of over their typical stanza limits, so to speak, but there were still good songs in that regard. Even back to back, like I know you're not the biggest fan of Drake, but that was a well thought out diss record, and he put it into the form of a club record. And I think people forget, before that record came out, was Charged Up, and that song was largely underrated because the beat didn't bump or bang or whatever, but he still had clever wordplay in it. And then Back to Back was just a cherry on top, basically. Like, he dissed Meek, but he made it a hot song as well. It got nominated for a Grammy, for God's sakes.
But this is what I'm saying about this one. It can't be compared to those.
Like, it can't. Agreed.
Where I would say Drake's were much better compared to this. Like, you can't. Yeah, I can't take her serious. Is what I'm saying. Like, you can't. If you're gonna make it like that, you have to come with those hitters, and I didn't really feel any hitters.
You know what it was?
Any serious things.
I feel like there was only maybe 2 or 3 lines that she had that were like, oh, okay, that was decent.
Yeah, exactly.
But the hit wasn't there.
The hit wasn't there. You can't. That's her first thing after either of Remi's tracks were dropped.
Yeah.
You can't come with that. You gotta come with fire. That was not fire. That was like flame. Like that was that lighter that's going out.
Exactly. It's like flicker.
Yeah. Like that's like trying to light something outside right now. Like it's just it's not picking up.
Exactly. Like the line she had about like rings or whatever and mentioned LeBron James. Like, okay, like that hit. I'm like, okay, cool, that's interesting. And then she said something about Pap, whatever, right? And there was a play on words between Papoose and Pap Smear. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of clever. But the delivery was just so nonchalant, and that's what's
the delivery just came off like she didn't write it herself.
Even then, like either she didn't write it herself or she just didn't give a shit, basically.
It was just like, it wasn't battle stance. It was just like, ha ha ha. Like, no.
Yeah, look how much money I got.
Like you come back.
And
you forget the money and you go to the real shit.
And here's the thing that kills me about it. It's not like Remy came out of nowhere and hit her with that. If you look at the backstory, it was Nicki who started it.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, if you started it, then you have to be the one to bring the heat then. Like, she almost meets herself in that regard. Now, here's the thing. I was reading the Instagram post that was followed up afterwards. And this is what she said in her post. And I quote, hashtag Young Money to the death of me. Community perjury. Hashtag I got before and after pictures of your surgery. Hashtag, stop surgery shaming before I post them. Hashtag fraud. Diss records can't be lies. Great diss records are facts. But here at Young Money, we don't do diss records. We drop hit records and diss you on them. I got a bunch more on cock. Pause. The greats took 3 months to respond to diss records. Queens don't move on Peasant Time. Queen shut down Paris, then dropped hits on Queen Time. I love my fans, y'all the real MVPs. Been writing my own rap sheets. Yo, I'm looking at you through my peripherals. I even like the full thing. Anyways, hold on. All right, I love my fans, y'all the real MVPs. Been writing my own rap since I was 11. God knows. Next week, I'll beat Aretha for the most Hot 100 hits on Billboard by any woman in the world ever in the history of music. Stay in your lane, you bum-ass place. Jealousy gets you nowhere. Love to all my bad bitches. Now I got a countdown of my own for Shanae. You got 72 hours to drop a hit, and I'll give you $500,000 if you can book any show or interview without mentioning the Queen name. On another note, my album is nothing but waves. LOL, my babies. You're gonna get your complete life. Love you guys so effing much. Let's go. Hashtag the frauds. Hashtag changed it. Hashtag regretting yours. Reggie Martin. Shout out to Lady Luck for speaking facts. They act like they didn't see her interview though. LOL. Kisses. Now, here's the thing right here. She said more in that post than she did on the record. Like, as far as like emotion and stuff like that. Like, you could tell if she wasn't affected by that Remy thing, by Sheikta or anything else, there would be no need for this post. There'd be no need. She's in her feelings right now. She's literally meeking right now.
That was that cherry on the top because she couldn't.
She's going to come back.
Exactly. That's how you know she didn't write that. If she wrote that, she wouldn't need to write that.
Exactly. Like, she wrote an essay, basically. like, one of the things she said that stood out to me was, diss records can't be lies. Great diss records are facts. The amount of facts that Remy put into Sheikta first and foremost, I mean, talking about how half your body is fake, which it is. It's well documented. You made tracks about it plenty of times. The fact that Safari has written a ton of your records, which is fact, which has been proven. And even the fact that she got at her about her brother being an alleged pedophile. Like, that's facts. Okay? Facts. Like, there's court trials about it that's been telegraphed. You were at the proceedings and everything. So, facts. And then there's another thing that she said. Oh, you got 72 hours to drop a hit and I'll give you $500,000 and book any show. Last I checked, All the Way Up went double platinum. And it was nominated for a Grammy. And she had not millions of shows, but she had like a gang of shows and performances after that record dropped. And mind you, it wasn't her fresh out of prison, but like maybe a year or two after prison. So the fact that people are still clamoring to listen to a record like that, even though it's not your traditional sounding hip hop record of today's generation, shows that she still has some pull. Not a whole lot of pull, because mind you, the album sales with her and Fat Joe, they weren't that great. But nonetheless, she still has the ability to make a single, depending on if it's her type of sound. And again, nominated for a Grammy. I didn't see that coming. You know what I mean? So.
And she has her own project coming.
So. Exactly. So she's good.
She will have no problem releasing within 72 hours.
Definitely not. So at the end of the day, this is basically an example of where they stand at. Remy is your more traditional street rapper who's going to give you that street record like a sheet there, ramming over someone else's beat and having it mixtape hot, which is the reason why it's no longer on iTunes, because she doesn't own the publishing to that beat, unfortunately. Whereas with Nicki, she went the Drake route in a sense, trying to make a diss into a hit record. She had the formula, but it just didn't hit. But because her fanatics are just loyal fans, they're going to buy into it anyway, which is the reality of the situation. Overall, as far as who wins and who loses based on all the variables, lyrically, of course, Remy won. And then, you know, just for longevity purposes, it's going to be Nicki because this is her generation. And the funny thing is, and I said this last week, if Remy didn't go to jail for 8 years, who knows where Nicki would be right now? Because they both came out around the same time. They both came out around the same. Mind you, Remy popped in 2004. Nicki got her grind started in 2007, 2008, basically. But right when Remy went to jail, out of nowhere comes Nicki. So
out of nowhere, right?
Who knows?
Right.
Who knows? And one thing before I kind of bring this topic to a close, I found it interesting that yesterday, so a day before this dropped, which is today, Remy had some thoughts. And she was being interviewed about the whole situation. And this is what she said. I do not condone or recommend the tearing down of another female. That's not what I do. Anybody that knows me knows I embrace females. Always want to do some girl-oriented thing. I think we work so much better when we work together and when we help each other. I just don't, especially when I know someone who's come from somewhere like I've come from, when you come from the bottom and you've actually managed to make something of yourself, and it just makes me happy. It just makes me all mushy inside. However, in the event that you piss me off and we become arch enemies, run for cover. Now, I'm going to get your thoughts in a second, but personally, how I feel about that is I understand exactly where she's coming from. I'm very empathetic towards that. But I'm looking at it from the lens of a hip-hop thing. Like, battles are part of hip-hop culture, whether it's man versus man, woman versus man, vice versa. It's an integral part of the culture. So I'm not thinking man versus man or anything like that. I'm just thinking rapper versus rapper. Like, because if that's the case, that's like me saying if Jay-Z and Nas were battling against, like, oh, I can't stand to see two black men tear each other down. I'm not looking at it from that. I'm looking at it from a rapper's perspective. But what's your take on what she said, though?
I see where she's trying to come from.
Mm-hmm.
It's from a good place.
Yeah.
Because really, like, she's the kind of person, I guess, to, like, mind her own business until you come for her, right?
Yeah, rightfully so.
So, it's I feel like it's still how anyone else might, like, a few other people might feel, but they just might not voice it.
Yeah.
Because they're just, like, battle.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. It is what it is at the end of the day. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, what do y'all think? What are your thoughts on the battle? Did it go down the way you wanted it to go down? Who won the battle lyrically? Who won the war overall in your take? Let me know. Hit me up on Twitter at DM_cool or cool_radio and share your thoughts. Cool.